Welcome back to the channel. Going to show you how I've been making these houses, like this one right here, with an interior that you can play in, using Fat Dragon Games kits, because I really like the way that they look. There's some other stuff out there. Explore if you don't like these kits, but I'm going to show you how I'm doing it, and I'm really liking the result. What's awesome about Fat Dragon Games kits is that over here they have these layers, so you can add or take away some stuff away. You'll see that here, but it really shines when I show you the exterior walls. So you just go here and you click what you want and what you don't want. This is the Easy Lock. It's a system that the Fat Dragon models use. We're not going to need it, so we can get rid of that, and it clears up our floor space. We can also get rid of a bunch of these to just make it easier on our printer. We're going to get rid of the trapdoor because I just want a flat interior. We can add other stuff in if we need to, and we're going to get rid of the walls because we just want it to be a one-room house. The only other thing, I'm going to change this because I like this better. And then the only other thing is I'm going to add the snow because hopefully it will make printing a little bit, I'll use less color with the printing. The next thing I'm going to show you just quickly is the exterior walls. They're actually the exterior and the interior walls. What we're going to do is we want to keep the lines because they're going to help us when we cut everything out later. And you're going to decide what you want for the windows. I just do all the windows closed so that they look the same on the interior and the exterior. If you want to do different, by all means, please go ahead. That's what we'll do right there. I want to keep the ivy. So this is why it's cool, because I want these houses to look like kind of an overgrown little hamlet. So I can put this ivy on here so it looks like there's growth as well as moss. And then we can change the style of stone. So I already have some built, so we can do a different stone style on this one so that this house looks different from the other houses and you have some distinction on the tabletop. Then you're going to do the same for your other walls here, your second set of walls. The little house, the roof part here. Change it the way you want it, the way you want to see it. And then you also have a roof here, which also has layers, and you can pick different roof styles that you might want to use. Let's go with this one. Looks kind of corroded. We'll put moss over it. Get rid of this. For this one, for the roof, I recommend get rid of the lines because all the cutting that we need to do or scoring, you don't need the lines to do it. And these right here, I was going to point at the screen. These right here are slits that can be used to add in a chimney. You may or may not want to put a chimney in. Weirdly, the house number 3 kit, if you're getting the Fat Dragon Games Ravenfell starter set, this is house number 3 that we're looking at right here. This kit doesn't come with a chimney. There are other kits with chimneys that will fit this house, so you do have them there included in the starter set if you buy that. But I just get rid of these slits because why have them? We don't need them right now. If we want to put the chimney in later, we can do that regardless. So just get rid of your lines. You don't need them. There's also this weird shading on these tabs that they have. You can just get rid of that. So there's your roof. You're going to get the rest of these done the way you want them. Print everything out. Your ground tile, your walls, including this piece, print on regular. I'm going to be printing on regular printer paper. And then this roof part, I'm going to print on a heavier cardstock type paper. Yeah. So get all that printed, and then I'll show you where to go from here. The last thing we need to do, actually, we want to print this all out as an exterior. Then we're going to go back to our walls. We're going to go to our layers. We're going to get rid of the ivy, and we're going to get rid of the moss. And then this is what we're going to be using for our interior walls. So do this for your walls, including this piece, and then print them all out in reverse. So when you go to print, you'll have to figure this out for your printer. For mine, you go into the options, you're going to go mirror image, and that's how you print out the interior walls, so that everything lines up so that the door is on the same place on each side of the wall. All right, get all that printed out, and we will continue. All right, so here we are. All of our materials are printed. This is what you should have. The ground floor. You should have the exterior 4 walls plus these sections for the roof. Sorry if you can hear my cat making a racket down underneath me. You should have the interior parts of the roof printed off reverse from these. And on cardstock, you should have the actual roof itself printed off. First thing we're going to do is we want our exterior walls and the ground floor here, and we're just going to loosely cut them off, leave some space because we'll cut them tight once they're glued to the cardboard. So cut them off, cut them all out loosely for now, meaning like just leave a margin. Don't worry about cutting them right to these lines that are printed. Just leave some white margin for yourself and cut them out. All right, now we have our floor piece and our 4 walls and this roof piece all cut out. We're going to mount it to cardboard. We're just going to use a glue stick, glue sticks, leave a nice even coat of glue, and it doesn't get everything too schmoogey. So it should glue nice and not wrinkle and not bubble, and it should be easy to cut out of the cardboard once we're done. One thing that I neglected to mention was your front and back piece, whichever pieces you decide. Probably your door is going to be your front. You're going to want to cut these tight here, and then your front and back pieces, cut them along the lines here, because when we mount them on the cardboard, we're going to mount them as a single piece so that when it gets cut out, it is a single piece that we can use. I'm going to glue this stuff down. I'm going to make those cuts, glue those down, and then I'll show you what it looks like before I cut everything out. Okay, so I'm a dummy. So your front and back walls, you're going to mount on the cardboard. Your side walls, for now, leave them. They'll be the next step, so do not mount them. You can cut them out like this, Don't mount them on the cardboard. Yes, hopefully you watch this before you actually do the action. Your floor, your 2 front and back walls, mount on the cardboard, and then mount the triangular roof pieces right on top of the walls so that they can get cut out in a single piece. Okay, again, I'm very forgetful. So because these are the thickness of the cardboard, it's like 3 centimeters or 3 millimeters, sorry. You're going to have to account for that in your floor. So when you cut this out, you're going to have to cut one of the edges, the width of these 2 walls, so it'll be like 6 millimeters. I made myself a handy dandy little tool. I don't know if the light will allow this to be seen very well, but I have marked out here 2 inches and 2 inches. And then I have some other little marks that just show the these gray marks show with the cardboard accounted for approximately. So when I measure up here, I go from gray line to gray line, and I know that that's what I need. And it's been pretty successful. So mark that out before you cut out your floor. All right, so we have our floor and our these 2 walls cut out. You're probably going to end up with a couple triangular pieces left over as scrap. That's good. What we want to do is cut out some triangles that are approximately the size of this top piece here. It's okay if it's a little smaller when everything's said and done. So I just mark it out quick. So that I know where I'm going to make my cuts. And like I said, you want to cut out 2 triangles, approximately this size, a little smaller maybe. Those are going to be used to brace the roof at the end, towards the end. So you're cutting them out now for a later step. Okay, so you'll end up with 2 triangles, like I said, approximately the size of this. Put them aside for now. Put these walls and stuff aside for now. Next up is those other outside walls that you cut out loosely. What I've been doing is gluing them down to a piece of cardstock. Why don't I just print out on the cardstock so that I have one side dealt with already? 2 reasons. The paper and glue adds a little extra bit of bulk, but also I want to conserve how much of the cardstock I'm using. Obviously, the printer paper is a little bit cheaper, so and these aren't laid out the best. The Red Dragon kits aren't laid out the best, in my opinion. They create a lot of scrap, so that scrap, I want it to be the regular printer paper instead of my cardstock, so I'm just going to glue these down and cut them out to conserve resources. So next up, glue these 2 walls down, and then you can cut them out similarly as you did with the cardboard here. You're going to do it with cardstock here. Okay, so now we have these 2 outside walls glued onto cardstock paper. Next step is you're going to take all your printouts of what is going to be your internal walls. Should have 3. And you're going to cut them out. You're going to cut them out to the lines. So these ones we cut out loosely to begin with so that we could cut them against cut them tight against the cardstock or the cardboard. These ones you're just going to cut out tight because we got to glue them right to our outside walls and hopefully make everything match. Okay, so we have our inside walls all cut out. You're going to want to make sure you have things sort of matched up so you know what you're doing. And of course we have these pieces. You're going to glue your freshly cut out inside walls to your external walls on the other side. You're going to just do it as nicely as you can. Make sure everything matches up. And then once everything's glued and done, just trim off anything that needs to be trimmed. Make sure you have the right orientation, so with the door, for example, it's going to be easy. Your door's there. You put it there, so it's in the right place on the inside and the outside. But for example, this wall, or even this wall, is a little bit better of an example. Your ivy's growing up, so that's the bottom of this wall. Just make sure you have the bottom of this wall lined up when you glue it. Glue everything together and we'll come back for the next step. Okay, so now we have our fronts and backs on everything. Next, we're going to hot glue our cardboard pieces together. So our floor piece and the two back and fronts. Just take a check. Okay, first of all, you want to make sure you're gluing them on the side that you cut shorter. The long side. This would be the short side. So we cut to make room on these sides for this, so that when these walls come in, we can glue them to the side of this and long. So yeah. Sorry if this is not making sense, but yeah. This is 4 inches long here. This is 4 inches less the width of the bottom of these, so that's why you want to make sure they're glued here. Just take a look and make sure everything is going to line up fairly nicely. Something that I just noticed is, if you can see here, my wall is a little bit longer. Now that everything's said and done, my wall's a little bit longer here. So that's going to cause some wonkiness when I glue these walls on. So I'm just going to quickly trim those, trim that, and then I'm going to glue these together so that they're standing like this. Okay, so here's where we're at now. Make sure everything lines up fairly closely. It's not the end of the world if you have a little bit of sticking out. It's all going to come out in the wash. Next step is, something that you might notice is you might have some bowing in your cardboard pieces. When you're gluing things together, just try to, so I glue along this edge and then I press it down against the table and then I press this one against here so that they kind of help to hold each other a little bit more straight once the hot glue is dry. So your next step is going to be to glue these on. Now, when you sort of dry fit these, you might notice that you have some stuff sticking out. Again, when you're gluing it, you're going to try to, eliminate those little bits sticking out. But once everything's glued together, you can give it a little trim, no problem. The way I've been doing it is I glue them to the bottom piece. I glue this to the floor piece. And then once that's set up, then I go in and I glue up these sides. And like I said, once everything's dry or cooled and set from the hot glue, you can look at where you're at and do any trimming that you need to do. All right, so here's where we're at. The main body of the house is more or less complete. Like I said, take a look. Anything that needs to be trimmed, trim it up. This one is not the prettiest one I've ever done, but it's not too bad. It's workable. The only thing that I can see is that my walls are maybe a little bit too tall. It might cause the roof to fit a little funny once we're looking at putting that on. But that's easy enough to trim off as well. Once we're at that point, if it looks funny. Put that aside. Your next step is grab your roof piece, print it on the cardstock. You're going to cut it out. You need to score the center of it so that it'll bend, and then you score along the edges, like right in here, of all these side pieces. They get flipped under to make the underside of the roof. Actually, I have an example. It's a different roof, but, you know, same concept. So you can see these are these. They flip under so that you have color there. When it sits on your building, it looks like a one complete roof. So yeah, cut that out, score them. You can glue these to the underside, and then I will show you the next step. Okay, so here's our roof, folded and glued, scored and folded down the middle, and then scored and folded to glue in those under roof pieces. Gonna pull out our little triangles that we cut out from earlier. We're going back to our hot glue. We're basically gonna hot glue these triangles in so that it holds the roof down nice and taut. So that when we put it on our house, everything sits nice. You might be tempted to glue them in tight here, but don't do that. Leave some space so that it leaves room for the cardboard on our house. So hot glue those in, and we'll come back and see if everything fits together nicely. All right, so roof pieces are all glued in. When I went to see how it looked, the roof was really sitting quite high off of the wall. So I just went in and I cut out the little corners of my triangles here. Might be a good thing to do that before you even glue anything in, because it has been an issue for a few of the houses that I built. But now everything's built and ready, and as you can see, it all fits pretty nicely and looks fairly good. Here's your little house sitting on your table. Character goes inside. You open it up. There is the inside. So, there you go. That's how you build a nice little playable house for D&D or Rangers of Shadowdeep or whatever else you're playing. Thanks for watching the video, and like it, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more stuff like this, more interesting hobby things, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Bye.